Hello there, kids. Hope you're all doing well. Did you enjoy my last story from the same book, The, the Grandma's Bag of Stories by Sudha Murthy? I think you would have all heard that story. Now, let us take another story from this book. I'm going to read it to you. Before we start the story, I'll tell you a little about this book. This book is a collection of nice little stories that is usually told by grandmas. That is, whenever we go to a grandma's place, our grandma used to tell us a lot of stories. So this is one such collection of grandma's stories, and this book is written by Sudha Murthy. So now this grandma and grandpa, they are in a place and they are in a farm, and these are the grandchildren. They have come to the grandma's place for the summer vacation. The school is on leave and all these kids have come to the grandma's place for summer vacation. So whenever grandma finds time, she will tell some nice stories to the children, and luckily we can also read it and enjoy it with them. Okay, shall we move on to the story? Okay. The name of the story is Kavery and the Thief. Okay. So before we start the story, I will tell you a little about the story. So, how many of you know, where the food that we eat, the rice, the vegetables, where does it come from? It comes from the farming land. So, it is all grown by the farmer. So, what does a farmer do to grow all these crops? A farmer, first, he has to do a lot of work to grow these crops. That is, bring the crops and they make it into rice or make it into wheat or make the vegetables. He does a real lot of hard work to do this. So what does he do? First he has to till the land. What is tilling the land? That is, the land will be dry and it will be hard like a stone. So what he has to do? He has to plow it. That is, he has to till it. He has to break the land and dig everywhere so that the soil becomes loose. After that, what he does? He sows the seeds. After that, he will have to pour water. Let water into the field every day. Then what he has to do? He has to take care so that the plants don't get spoiled or eaten by animals or insects and stuff like that. So the farming work itself is very difficult. So all farmers, they do a lot of hard work to get some very little money. So now the story is about a farmer lady called Kavery. Okay, her name, she does, she has a piece of land, and she does farming in that land, and with that money only she lives. So Kavery says, let us start from here. Kavery from here. Okay, we are starting from here. Kavery's lazy husband annoyed her no end. There she was, working like a donkey in the fields, ploughing and watering and tending a hard, dry piece of land, while her husband snored away happily at home. So Kavery has a husband, but he is very lazy. So what he does? He is of no use to her. She worked like a donkey. How does a donkey? Donkey is known to do a lot of hard work. What does a donkey do? Donkey carries a lot of loads. So like a donkey, she does work throughout the day. She plows the field and she waters everything she does, and her land is very dry. That is, does not have any wetness, and it is very dry, and she has to plow the land. She has to struggle a lot to plow the land. And what does her husband do when she does all this work? He snores away happily at home. That is, he sleeps away happily at the home. Why? Once, when a stranger came asking for some food and water, he just pointed towards the kitchen and went back to sleep. The stranger, thankfully, was an honest man and took only enough for himself and his horse. So, he's tell how lazy he is one day one stranger came to their house asking for food and water, and but the husband was very lazy. So what he did, instead of asking taking the food and giving it himself, he just pointed to the kitchen and went back to sleep. The stranger, but fortunately the stranger is a very nice person. And what he did, he was a honest man. So what he did, he only took enough food for himself and his horse. He ate it and he went away. Not that there was much to steal in Kaveri's little house. They were poor farmers, only with a patch of land where nothing seemed to grow. Somehow, Kaveri tilled the land, did some odd jobs in the neighborhood, and made ends meet. So, even if that stranger wanted to steal something, there's nothing inside Kaveri's little house. They were all poor farmers. So that small piece, a patch of land was all that they had. So Kaveri, somehow she tilled the land sometimes. Sometimes she went to the neighbor's place and did some small jobs to get money. And with that money only she lived. The land was right next to a temple. On some days, her husband would come along with her on the pretext of helping her. But no sooner would her back be turned than she would find him stretched out near the temple courtyard, gossiping with passing villagers. So sometimes what happens? This land usually used to be next to the temple. So in the village there is a temple. So this land falls near the temple. So what does her husband, lazy husband, do? He will come along with her to the land, that is to the field, and he'll tell that I'll help you, but he will actually not help. Whenever she starts working, he will go and lie down in the temple courtyard. And what he'll do? He will start talking with all the villagers and he'll pass time just like that. One day, as she was working in the field, trying to dig up the ground so she could sow some seeds, a thin man with a big mustache appeared beside her. He was a thief and up to no good. Kaveri, of course, did not know this. She greeted him politely and went back to her work. Now the thief wanted to steal the coins that were given as offerings in the temple and perhaps even the ornaments on the idol. The only way into the temple was by digging his way in from Kaveri's land. But how could he do anything there with this tough, no nonsense woman working away? So one day what happened? She was working on the field and there was one man who has a big mustache. He is a thin man and a big mustache. He appears before her. He was a thief actually. So why did the thief come there? The thief, since her land is near the temple, the thief wanted to steal some coins and the ornaments from the god's idol in the temple, but he could only do by going underground. He has to dig the ground and go underground and go inside the temple to get the coins and the jewelry. So what happens? So to do he this Kaveri doesn't know. Kaveri thinks she is a nice man and she politely greets him, and she goes back to work. But if the thief wants to steal something from the temple, he will have to tackle Kaveri, because Kaveri is always at the field, so he will not be able to do something without her going away. Guessing Kaveri was hard up for money, he whispered to her, "Sister, why are you working so hard on this barren land? I will give you 1,000 rupees. Sell it to me." Kaveri raised her eyebrows. Why did he want to buy the land for so much money? Surely something was wrong. So, why does he want to get the land? If he get the land, he can do anything with the land. So in the night what he can do? He can start digging the hole, and after the hole he will dig a tunnel which will reach to the temple. From where he can steal the money and the ornaments. So he is telling, sister, don't worry, why are you doing such hard work? I will buy your land for 1000 rupees. Kaveri raised her eyebrows. So she started doubting, because she is not a foolish woman. She is a very clever woman. So she understood that why would this man pay 1000 rupees for that land which was not even useful. The thief sensed she was not about to sell it to him, so he raised his price 1050. No, 2000. No again. 5000. No. So he started to tempt her by raising the value of the land. So he is telling, he is coming up to 5000. Okay, I will give you 5000 rupees. You sell me the land. Kaveri kept shaking her head. She did not like this odd looking man who was offering her so much money for the field. Clearly, he had some evil plans. Finally, to keep him quiet, she made up a story. I will never sell this land. You see, it belonged to my ancestors. Now we are poor, but I am told that once our family was very rich. Though we lost a lot of money, much of it was also buried here, in this field, by one ancestor, to keep it safe from robbers. The people forgot about it for years and years. My husband found a clue to the location of the hidden treasure just a few days back. Why do you think I am digging this hard earth? Not to sow seeds? Oh no, that's just what everyone thinks. I am actually looking for the hidden treasure. So, Kaveri wanted to clear her doubt, but this man is not going away. So she decided that she will have to cook up some new story. So she said, this land belongs to the ancestors. Ancestors means people who are the grandmother, great grandmother, their grandmother, like that. So the land belongs to their grandmother. So now she is telling, we are poor now only, but before we used to be very rich, and they have buried all the treasure in their treasure in this field. So that's the reason I am digging this field. So don't think that I am going to sow the seed. I am digging the field to get the golden treasure that the ancestors have hidden. The thief was stunned. He felt the woman was really innocent, giving such important information to a stranger. He thought, why should I not take advantage of the situation? Here he was, hoping to steal a few coins from the temple, and this woman was telling him about hidden treasure. So the thief suddenly, when he came to know about the treasure, he became very happy. He started to tell that this woman, he was from the temple, even if he wanted to steal, he is only going to get a few coins and some ornaments or something. But this woman is telling that she is having a huge treasure in the field. He replied in a very humble way, yes, sister, I understand. After all, it is your family's treasure. You should get it. He pretended to walk away and went and hid himself a little way down the road. So, the thief, somehow he pretended that he is going to go away. So, he just went, looked like he is walking and going, but he went and hid himself. That is, he went and hid himself somewhere. And what did he want to do? He wanted to find the treasure that is hidden in Kaveri's field. So, night fell. Kaveri packed her tools and headed home. The temple too emptied out, and the priest locked it up for the night. Then at midnight, when all was quiet and the night creatures were coming out of their homes, the thief crept into the field. So the first thief pretended to leave the field. Now what did he do? He went and hid himself and he waited for the night to come. So the night, Kaveri took all her tools and she went to her home. And what happened to the temple? All the priests, it is evening, no, it is almost night. So they closed all the temple gates and everything, locked it, and they left. After it was quite late in the night, and all the night creatures, the owl, the gods, rats, have all started roaming. They have all started roaming. And what happens now? The thief is slowly coming to the field. All night he dug and dug, looking for treasure. But of course, there was no sign of it, as there never had been any treasure to begin with. By the time dawn broke, he realized Kaveri had made a fool of him, and all he could do now was to get away from the field fast. So, all the night, what did the thief do? He dug the field completely. He dug everywhere, every single place. He dug, and dug, deeper and deeper, looking for the treasure. And there was not even any treasure. And by the time the dawn broke, that is, it became morning, he realized that Kaveri had made him a fool. When Kaveri reached the field, she grinned to herself. Just as she had expected, the thief had spent the night digging up the land nicely for her. All she needed to do now was sow the seeds. She worked hard in the field for the next few months and managed to grow a good crop. She sold those, and finally they had some money. With the part of this money, Kaveri bought some jewelry. So what happens? The thief dug and nothing happened. Thief understood that he has been cheated. Next morning, what happens? Kaveri goes to the field. And what happens? As she has expected, the thief has done half of her work. She was struggling to plough the dry piece of land. What did the thief do? He did finish all her work because he dug up everywhere. So now Kaveri did not need to do any digging. So she all that before that when she was now the field was ready. She only sowed the seeds, and she grew the crops. And this time what happened? Nice crops. She got good crops, and she sold those crops in the market, and she made some money. With that money, she bought some jewelry. So Kaveri was a clever woman. Many months later, the thief decided to show his face in the village. He was careful to disguise himself, though. He had trimmed his long moustaches, tied a colored turban, and pretended to be traveling salesman. No sooner had he stepped into the village than he saw Kaveri going about her work. But what is this? Instead of the simple, unadorned lady he saw last year, she was now wearing jewelry which looked as though it had been in the family for years. Surely she must have located that missing treasure finally. He was determined to look in her house and find the rest of her money and treasure. So many months the thief had run away now. After many months, this thief he wants to come into the village, and because everyone came to know that he is a thief, he can't come as he is. So what is it? He's wearing a disguise. He trimmed his mustache. He made himself. He put a turban on his head, and he somehow made himself to appear like a different person. And he said that he is a traveling salesman. What does a traveling salesman do? He buys things from different places and sells it at different places. So he told that he is a traveling salesman. As soon as he stepped into the village, he saw Kaveri. Kaveri was not like in the last year. This year, what happened? She has made some money. With that money, she has bought some jewelry for herself. So, he was surprised to see that Kaveri is in such a good condition. So, and he also knew that, he thought that Kaveri finally did really get the treasure from the land. That is the reason she has become very rich. So that is so what he is thinking, what thief has planned. He is thinking that he will go in the night to Kaveri's house and he will look for the rest of the money and treasure. That night he appeared at Kaveri's house and said to her husband, "I am a traveler and I don't have a place to spend the night. Please give me shelter for the night. He is telling, I am a traveler. I don't have any shelter. Please give me some place for the night. Kaveri's husband agreed immediately. Kaveri, however, glimpsed the man from inside the house and saw through his disguise. See, she knew he must be planning some robbery. So she said in a loud voice, making sure the visitor heard her, "Oh dear, your dear aunt is all alone at night and has asked us to come stay with her. You know how the dark scares her when your uncle is not there." So Kaveri sees him on the first sight. She is a clever woman. So first, as soon as she sees the thief, she understands that this is the man, this is a thief, and obviously he is come to steal something from her home. So she is telling in a loud voice. She is telling to her husband, "Dear husband, today we have to go to your aunt's house because uncle is also not there. She is all alone. We have to go and be with her. Come, let us go there for the night." Then, lowering her voice a bit, yet making sure she was heard clearly, she continued, "Don't worry about the jewels. I've hidden them in the little holes in the house walls." So, this is a very clever person. What she does, she tells as if the thief hears. First, she tells loudly, and secretively, she's telling to her husband that don't worry about the jewels. This is all, the jewels are all hidden inside the holes, small little holes in the walls. So this, she's making sure the thief hears it also. She'll tell it in low voice, but still the thief is able to hear. So he's telling that no one will suspect the hiding spot. So no one will be able to find out. Then she came out and in her normal voice told the thief, "Brother, you can sleep in the veranda. The house will be locked. Here is some food and water for you. We'll come tomorrow morning." The thief smiled to himself at Kaveri's foolishness. So now the thief, so she's telling, after that she's telling to the thief, "Brother, you sleep in the veranda. I'm going to lock the house. You sleep here in the veranda. Take some food, take some water. I'm giving you. You sleep in the veranda. We are going to lock the house and we are going to go to the aunt's house." The thief, now he is smiling. He's thinking, okay, so his work is become easy because no one is going to be there in the house. Her husband, meanwhile, stared at her with an open mouth, wondering which aunt and what jewels she was talking about. When she firmly walked off, he followed obediently. So the husband, there was no such aunt actually. So the husband doesn't really understand what Kaveri is telling. So he understood that that's some plan of hers, and so he stared at her with an open mouth, and he was wondering what she was talking about. But still, he does not tell anything, and he just follows her and goes out with her. The thief could not believe his luck. He had the entire night to comb through the house, tap all the walls, and look for the hidden stash of gold ornaments. So he started. Tap, 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 kick, punch, and shove. He prowled and he tapped. He kicked and he pushed the walls, hoping to spot the jewels. Finally, he dove on all the walls, but of course, there was nothing he could find. Exhausted, he fell asleep and woke only with the crowing of the cock as the sun rose. Quickly, he found his little bundle of things and ran off. So, what did the thief do? He waited until Kaveri and her husband went off, and he knew somewhere the jewels are going to be there. So the entire night he started searching the house, and she has told that the jewels are inside the holes. So he kept on tapping the walls, kicking the walls, everywhere, all the walls. He throughout the night he started to punch and push and kick the walls. Now what happened? By the end of this order, because of his kicking and tapping, finally all the walls were broken and they fell apart. So, but nothing. He couldn't get any his hands on any jewels. So he got exhausted and he slept. He woke only in the morning quickly, because in the morning people are going to come and people are going to catch him. So he took off his things and he went off. He ran away. Within minutes, Kavery and her husband returned. Oh, Kavery, see what the bad man has done to our house. You gave him food and shelter and made me come with you, leaving the man alone in the night. Her husband wailed, but Kavery was smiling. Then she broke into peals of laughter and said, Don't worry, I had planned this all along. You see, I saved money from our last crop to rebuild the house. I needed to call in some laborers to help tear it down, but our guest has done it for us. Now we can make a larger house for ourselves, just the way we always wanted. So Kavery and her husband came a few minutes after the thief left, and the husband is telling, look, this bad person, the bad man who stayed in our house the previous night, see what he has done to the house. He has torn down all the walls and has destroyed everything. You gave him food and water, and you only told me to come with you also. See what he has done now. But Kavery was not angry. She was smiling and she started laughing. She said she had done this as a planned thing. How she has planned? She wanted to tear down the house to build a better house. So she has to pay laborers to break that house. So now what happened? Because the thief has already done it for her, it has saved her that money. So now she only has to spend the money she has saved to build the house. The whole village heard the story and started marveling at her intelligence. Many months flew by. The thief was burning to take revenge. How dare that village women trick him? That too not once but twice. He realized that she was very clever. So thief, the whole village has been talking about how Kavery tricked the thief, and everyone were marveling at her intelligence. So thief also eventually he came to know that how he has been tricked. So thief was very angry and really wanted to take revenge. And he is like, how dare she is thinking, how dare she trick me? So he wanted to somehow take revenge for the way she has tricked him. One day he dressed up as a bangle seller and started wandering in the village. Kavery spotted him and knew who he was at once. She said to her friends who were crowding around the bangle seller, Oh dear, I would have loved to get some for myself. But ever since that good-for-nothing thief tried to steal all our money by tearing down our house, I have hidden everything in a little hole in a tree in the woods. So the thief, after so many months, he has dressed up as a bangle seller and came into the village. But Kavery is too clever for him. She only, as soon as she saw him, she spotted him, and she knew he's come there to take revenge on her. So she told him, like, oh, I want to get some bangles for myself, but because that thief has come to our house and he tried to steal our money, I kept all the jewels inside in a tree, in a hole in a tree in the forest. This was what she told. Which tree? Her friends asked. Oh no, I am not saying which tree, but it is at last safe and sound in the forest. The thief looked at her. Yes, Kavery was wearing an ordinary sari with no ornaments at all. So, which tree? The friends, other ladies are asking, which tree is that? She is telling, I am not going to tell that to you. It is in a safe place. The thief looked at her. Yes, she had removed all her jewelry and she was wearing only ordinary sari. Her friends turned around in astonishment at the crash with which the bangle seller flung down his collection of bangles and made off for the forest. Only Kavery watched with a grin on her face. So, immediately the bangle seller, who is the bangle seller? Bangle seller is actually the thief. So, he threw away all the bangles on the floor and he started running towards the forest. Why he was going to the forest? He was going to the forest to get those jewels which she said she has hidden it in the hole in a tree. Out in the forest, the thief searched high and low for the jewels. He climbed trees, poked around in bushes, got bitten, scratched, and growled at, but he would not give up. The jewels were there somewhere and he had to find them. So the thief went to the forest in search of those jewels and he climbed the trees. He got pricked by the branches, he fell down, he scratched himself. He also met with some wild animals who growled at him. Everything he faced, but he is not ready to give up his search. So that is where we will leave him, prowling around in the forest, looking for money and gold that do not belong to him. Everyone praised Kavery for her quick wit in ridding the village of the thief. She continued to work hard and made more money from her farming and became a rich old lady. Even her husband was shamed into giving up his lazy ways and helping her. As for the thief, who knows, perhaps he is still in that forest looking for what was never his. Now, if only he had learned to work hard like Kavery, he would have been as rich. So, because the thief never returned, because the thief would not give up that search. He is very adamant about, he is very stubborn about finding those jewels in the forest. So he is searching it never endingly. Without any end, he is going on searching it. So now, and what happens? Because the thief is busy in the forest, he doesn't come to the village, and all the village people praised Kavery for her quick wit, that is her bright mind and a bright usage of mind and her intelligence, and they were appreciating her. So, and she at last she continued to do hard work. She earned a lot of money, and even her husband has become good, and he started helping her. And finally, she became a rich old lady. Now, as for the thief, what happened to the thief? He might be still there in the forest searching for those jewels, but the jewels never belonged to him. So, if at all, if the thief had really tried to work hard and do something, by now he would have been a rich person. But the thief, he is a thief and he doesn't really know how to work hard. He only want to take things which belong to others. So, that's the story of the Kavery and the thief. Hope you enjoyed the story. Keep following this page for more stories. As soon as more stories I will post, you will be notified. Don't forget to subscribe my page so that you get notified whenever I post a story. Thank you. Bye for now.